All right. So I have a question. Why do we need commercials for grocery stores? We know what they are, and we know that we need to go to them. Why do we need to have them advertised? You have to have food. It's not like they need to convince you. Why do they have to portray them as these magical places where everyone is family? They're just a necessity. I think the only way you could do a proper Kroger commercial is if you just had Nick Offerman, the guy that plays Ron Swanson, if you just had him being blunt and condescending. At Kroger, you can buy food. You literally need it to live. What more do I have to tell you? Look, let me explain it so that even an imbecile like you can understand. You will literally die without food. And Kroger has food. Get it through your thick skull. Kroger, they sell food. So I don't know if you guys saw this. There's this guy named Mark Saltzman who was a writer for Sesame Street at one point, and he recently made a statement that saying that when he was writing for Bert and Ernie, he wrote them as a gay couple. That this writer, he is gay, and he wrote Bert and Ernie based on his own relationship. Well, yeah. That's not a surprising revelation to us. That's not something that we just figured out. My question is, when are we going to talk about the fact that Statler and Waldorf are clearly a pair of old queens? All they do is go to the theater and make smart-ass comments. They're so clearly like this elderly gay couple that knows their best years are behind them. So they just kind of go around and sit together, alternately griping and sniping. That's something that I feel like needs to be said. There's a lot of things that like just never occur to us until you just have that epiphany. It just recently, like a week ago, dawned on me why my parents keep pineapple juice in the house. It had never occurred to me. At one point, I was like going to the fridge to get a soda, and going through like a Sunny D commercial, and I'm just like, pineapple. Why do we have pineapple? Anybody have any drugs? There's the old adage that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And these days especially, we're seeing history being repeated in several different ways. For instance, the president recently said that the things that Bob Woodward wrote about him are lies. There was another president who said that the things Bob Woodward wrote about him were lies. Nixon! And of course, we all know that turned out to be fake news. and yes, this is a true statement that you have to be very careful when you start comparing someone to a Nazi. But when you're literally denying the extensive death toll of a tragedy, like he did with Puerto Rico, you notice some parallels.
Oh shit, you're right.
He's claiming that thousands of people didn't die in this horrific event. That just sounds a little familiar to me. I don't know about you. Also, side note, I love the delicious poetic justice that there is a racist politician whose name actually is Blackburn. All these years, I had no idea that it was a command.
Oh, fuck! Jesus!
Thank you. Well, as an impressionist, there's a saying that, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's totally true. Sometimes the written word is made better or worse by the right or wrong voice. And I recently saw this article on, I guess it was Dorkly, that it was examples of the world's worst porn dialogue. And I found one of these bits of dialogue and thought, this honestly could be improved. The topic of it, I shit you not, was euthanasia.
Whoa.
It was a man begging his, trademark sexy nurse to euthanize him.
What?
Yeah.
That's a very particular fetish.
It is. Thank you. So I thought, this is just such a heavy topic for porn. It really deserves some better circumstances. So I thought, well, let's have it as a dramatic reading from two Academy Award-winning actors. And because of their wonderful chemistry, I decided on Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci.
Yes!
So, without further ado.
Yeah.
Nurse, you gotta help me. I can't take it anymore. You gotta end my misery.
Mr. Green, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, there's so many reasons to live.
Like what, my health?
Well, music,
I listen to God.
movies,
I watch porn, which only makes me horny and reminds me that I have no one.
children.
They throw rocks at me.
Look, I can't do this, Mr. Green. Besides, it ain't even legal.
Legal doesn't take the pain away, nurse.
Well, then take an aspirin or something.
Only if you have some of that sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so I can die medicine. This ain't a cold, nurse. I'm ready to go.
The nurse proceeds to grab a syringe.
Put that away. I don't want any of your drugs.
Then how are we gonna do this, Mr. Green?
I want to go out the same way I came in.
How's that?
Well, I was born by the snatch. Now I want to die by the snatch. So come up here and sit on my face and take my breath away.
And she does. Thank you so much. I'm Lasley. Have a great night.
Good Lasley, everybody. Keep it going for him. Wow.